My name is Pam Chrysostomo, and I'm going to share a personal experience that I have had. I'm the oldest of 4 children, and I'm 19 years old, and I have a sister whose name is Phyllis, and she's 13, and my next sister's name is Patty, and she's 12, and I have a little brother whose name is Noel, and he's 8, and so there's 10 and a half years between me and Noel.
So my name is Pam. I am 19 and I am the oldest of 4 siblings. My youngest sibling, Noel, my brother, he is 8 and he is 10 and a half years my junior. My sister that's right below me is 13. Her name's Phyllis, and then below her, but older than Noel, is Patty, who's 12. The discourse components are the fact that she is the oldest and she is way older than all of her other siblings.
I was an only child for a very long time, and I was supposed to be an only child until I remember one Christmas where I asked my mother, I told my mother that instead of asking Santa for toys this Christmas, I wanted a baby sister instead. So a couple months later, I had a baby sister, and her name was Phyllis.
So growing up as an only child, I really wanted somebody to play with, so I asked Santa one Christmas for a baby sister instead of asking for any toys or anything, and I told this to my mom. And so then a couple months later, my baby sister Phyllis was born. The discourse components are that she wanted a sibling to play with, and she wanted one so bad, so she even asked Santa for the sibling instead of asking for toys, which is what most kids are asking for at Christmas time.
And so she was born in April. And in June of 1984, we were preparing for a big baptismal party for Phyllis, and she was going to get baptized at St. Charles Church. And we were going to have a lot of visitors over, probably about, maybe 300 visitors.
So 2 months after she was born, we had her baptized at our church, and we're throwing a huge party. We're planning this big party to celebrate her birth that was going to have so many people. And the discourse components are the hugeness of the party and the fact that her party was for her baptism.
And in the process, my mom had a friend whose husband made cakes, and so my mom's friend's husband made a cake that was about 20 by 30, so it was a huge cake. It was decorated really nicely, and there was a stork on it, and there was a baby in the stork's beak, and I just remember how great a cake it was. And
so my mom's friend's husband made a cake for the baptismal party, and it was a huge cake. It was extravagantly decorated. There was a stork with a baby, and I just remember how awesome that cake was. And the discourse components are the extravagantness of the cake, because it just needs to be pointed out at this moment.
So my mom wanted to hide the cake, so the visitors who were going to spend the night coming later that evening wouldn't see the cake, so she would keep it as a surprise for everybody else. And so she and her friend put the cake in a big box, and then we put it in our study.
So my mom wanted the cake to be a surprise to all of the guests of the party. That was the next day. But we had a bunch of people that were staying the night at our house the night before the party, so she wanted to hide it. So she put it in a big box in another room in our house that people would not be going in. And so her and her friend hid it.
So later that evening, my sister Phyllis's godmother came, and along with her godmother, she brought her husband and her 2 girls. And I was excited because I mean, I was pretty much a very lonely child, and so having playmates was like a big deal for me, and I was really excited that I had a new sister named Phyllis who was born.
So later on, that night, my new sister's godmother came to our house with her husband and her 2 daughters, and I was really excited because not only did I get a new sister, I also got people to play with for the night. I never get people to play with because I'm an only child.
And so,
And the discourse analysis and discourse components of that last section were, or of the last 2 sections, were that the cake was being hidden in a separate room, and then that I was going to be playing with these 2 girls tonight because it's exciting to have people to play with for once.
one of the girls, her name was Lisa, and she was my age, and her sister Rena was a year younger than both of us. So we decided that we'd play a game of hide and seek.
So the 2 sisters, one of them, the older one, was my age, and the younger one was only a year younger than us, so we decided to play a rousing game of hide and seek. And the discourse analysis of this text is that me and the 2 girls visiting are playing hide and seek.
So we were playing hide and seek, and we were laughing, we were having fun, I mean, as all little kids do. And at one point, Lisa was it, and Rena and I hid like in the living room, and we were found very easily. And so I guess after 3 or 4 rounds, it was Lisa's turn to be it. And so Lisa was it, and it just wasn't working right. We were having fun, we were having a lot of fun, but people were finding each other too easily. So I took Lisa and I hid in the study room because I figured that would be the best place to hide. And
so as we're playing hide and seek, we're having so much fun because little kids playing together. But the game's getting too easy. We're getting found easily, and it's not as fun that way. So when the younger sister was it, me and the older sister, I took her into the study to hide where the cake was hidden.
So Lisa and I went to the study, and we ran really quickly, and I remember the door slamming really loud, and it was a wonder that Rena didn't find us just by the sound of the door slamming. And
so after I took Rena into the study, or Lisa into the study, the door slammed, and it was really loud, and we should have been found just from that. We weren't. And the discourse components of this text and the past one were that we were getting impatient with the game of hide and seek, and so we wanted to make it harder, so we hid in the hidden room, and that when we went into the room, we made a lot of noise and should have been found easily.
And so we were really tired. I remember laughing really hard, and Lisa decided to sit down. And Lisa sat down on the box that had the cake in it.
So when we got into the room, we were so tired from having all the fun, so Lisa wanted to sit down. And instead of finding anywhere else to sit, she sat on the big box with the big extravagant cake in it. The discourse components are that Lisa sat down on the box because she was tired.
And it was horrendous. I screamed because the box that she had sat on had the cake in it, and so part of the cake was ruined. So I screamed and I called my mom, and all I remember was I got spanked. I was 6 years old and I got spanked, whereas Lisa and Rena didn't get in trouble at all.
So she sat on the cake, and I was freaking out, like, oh no, the cake is ruined. So I screamed and called my mom, and she came into the room and she spanked me, and because the cake was ruined, and 2 girls didn't get in trouble at all.
But my mom said that it was my fault because this was my house and we weren't supposed to be in the study anyway, and the cake was ruined. This big, beautiful cake was ruined.
So, yeah, the reason that I got in trouble and not the girls was because my mom said that because I knew that we weren't supposed to be in that room, that I should have kept it from happening, and if I would have been playing like I was supposed to, that wouldn't have happened anyway. And the discourse components of this text and the last one were that Lisa sat on the cake box. I got in trouble for it, and she did not. And I should have. My mom thought that I should have known that we should not have been in that room, and that's why it's my fault.
So I kind of thought when I was, little, I felt that was kind of an injustice for me because it wasn't my fault. All I did was go and play hide and seek. And I remember my dad telling the visitor the next day when the cake was out about how the kids were playing and that's why half of the cake was ruined. But that's something I'm never going to forget, kind of like one of my injustices. But I look back now and I laugh, and I'm sure my mom laughs too.
So I thought that the punishment was unfair because it wasn't my fault. I did not sit on the cake, but that's how my mom thought. And then the next day at the party, my dad had to explain why half the cake was ruined, so he said it was just because of us playing. So it's just something that I remember that's unfair, and now looking back, I think it's funny, and I'm sure my mom does too. And the discourse components of the text are that I thought the punishment was unfair, and then my dad had to tell everyone why the cake was ruined.